I hope. Yes, and over to you, Danish. Thanks very much.
Yep, thank you. Let me start sharing my screen first and then next. I'm gonna try this out because I just changed. That's the wrong one. I just changed my setup yesterday, so I'm a little confused which one is my screen 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's the wrong one again. One more try. Okay. Yep.
We can see your Outlook at the moment.
Yes, that's the one I want to share. Okay, cool. So, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. My name is Danish Naglekar, and I'll be pasting my contact information in the chat now. So you can connect me on LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub, and also I run the Power Platform Developer newsletter. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up on that link that I've provided in the chat. And I'm the Microsoft MVP in Business Application and a Senior Technical Architect. That's all about me. And the topic for today is powering up your website with chatbots. So let's dive into what we're going to look into it, right? So what is Power Virtual Agent? Now, Power Virtual Agent is a low-code, no-code interface where you like where the SMEs, like the subject matter experts, can come in and create powerful bots without writing any line of code. So now the SMEs are not dependent on the developers. So you're reducing the cost of IT, right? And then also your dev team is now freed up to do complex stuff or complex scenarios, right? Like the you are your business has some integration or needs to do some migration. So now developers can focus on those complex business scenarios rather than building a simple bot, right? So all the simple bots or all the usual scenarios are all covered in Power Virtual Agent without writing without writing even one line of code. So that's the beauty of it. So if you're new to Power Virtual Agent, I would really encourage you to get started with it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. And the UI is so rich and enhanced that it just guides you through how you want to create your bot. So that's all about Power Virtual Agent. Now, why should we use chatbots, right? And the quickest answer that I would like to give whenever we're trying to use, like, why do we want to use chatbots? Now, most of the websites that you go, you would see that there would be a little icon on the bottom of the screen where you can chat to the representatives or even with the bots. And every website nowadays has that feature, right? The reason is because no one wants to give a call to a customer rep and then wait on the call for like half an hour or 1 hour, right? No one wants to wait, right? Time is an essence. So for that, chatbots really helps your business or your client's business to enable them give responses to the most common questions that are asked by the clients or the customers. They can get response pretty quickly without having to wait, right? So that's where the subject matter experts comes into picture, because they would know what are the regular scenarios or what are the regular questions that have been asked by the customers, and that's why they get this power to build the chatbots themselves. So that's the beauty of using chatbots. Now it it gives you a rich and natural language so that um, your your customers can easily chat with the bot using natural language, so they don't have to think about the codes or think about the words that are going to trigger the chatbot or that the bot can understand. Like sometimes you would say, okay, coffee, But like, let's have a coffee is what the phrase you have put it in the chat bot. But let's say your client does not use let's have a coffee. They just put something else. Um, how about um, how about an evening coffee or something like that? A different kind of sentences, but the Power Virtual Agent is so enhanced, it recognizes the synonyms and similar words, and then it just triggers those actions on the screen. And then also the bot is capable enough to do backend actions. Like, let's say it wants to send an email, or it wants to go and send an approval email to some director, and then it just clicks on the approval flow and then gets the approval and then does more advanced or more complex stuff. So it can take actions, backend actions on behalf of the user as well. Okay. So what are the key concepts of that are used in Power Virtual Agent? So the key concept that we're going to look at is system topics. There's something called system topics, which I'm going to explain you in a second. Then we have user topics and entities. And the main thing that we're going to look at today is going to be channels. So system topics is nothing but the topics. So topic in general means what are you discussing about? Are you discussing about are like things to do, or are you discussing about um, a, a travel site? So if you are building this bot for travel, are you trying to book a ticket, or are you trying to just do a research on certain destinations? So those are the things that you're trying to do, right? Those are two different things that you're trying to do. So those are two different topics. Now, because these are two different custom topics pertaining to one single that travel site, that becomes user topics. But then there are some system topics like greetings. If you say hi, what should the bot respond? Or if you say goodbye, what should the bot respond? Or if you say I want to talk to an agent, then how should the bot respond? So those are the topics that are very common to a bot that Microsoft has already developed the scenarios for you and then provided it as a system topics. These system topics cannot be unfortunately deleted from the system. They can be disabled or modified, but they cannot be deleted. Whereas user topics, you have full control on user topics. You can add, delete, disable them, change them, do whatever you want with them. And entities is something that, let's say, place is an entity, um, or attractions are entities, cities are entities. So, and you can create your own entities as well. So we are going to look into, like, I'm going to briefly touch entities during the demo. So we'll come back to that. Channels is the most important thing that we're going to look at. So what are different type of channels? Channels is nothing but how your bot, now you have developed a bot, but you want to connect your bot with different things. Like you want to connect it with Facebook maybe, or if you want to connect it with Slack channel or MS Team channels, or even on website or Cortana, right? So if you're going to connect your bot with different things, that's called channels. And the one that we are going to focus today is website. So we are not going to look at all the other channels, but we are going to look at connecting our bot to a website and how to modify the UI so that it looks like it's part of the website. Okay. So yeah, let's get into demo. And before we get into demo, I'm gonna let you know that if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat, and then we'll come back to that at the end of the, like, during the end of the session. Yeah. Okay. So, and password. Okay. So what I have here is I've created bot for my travel, like I've created a website for travel agency just for the demo purposes, and I've created a bot that would serve the clients with their travel requests. And what this bot is going to do is it's going to uh, get triggered on certain phrases. So these are the phrases that that I have provided as a trigger: attractions, itinerary, plan trips, or things to do. So anytime a user types in, let's say, I want to know about certain attraction, so the bot will get triggered and start the conversation with the clients. So as soon as the uh, trigger phrase is entered by the user, the message that gets displayed will be this one, and then you can see that how easy it is. You can just click on the add, and then it gives you options whether you want to ask a question, whether you want to take an action, or show a message. So this is where what I've used for show a message, and it just displays let's start planning your vacation. You can also ask a question. So if I'm asking a question, this is the question that will be asked. Now, once you're asking a question, you have different type of responses that a user can provide. So user can provide a multi-choice options, or user can provide like Boolean, cities, colors, continent, and these are all entities. And these are most of these are pre-built entities that are provided by Microsoft. But you can see that I've created my own entity called attractions, and this is a closed list item of 3. So if I go to entities, these are most of them are already pre-built, but you can also see that I've created my own entity here, and you can see that I've provided 3 items in this entity. Now you can certainly create your new entity from here, and then you can start entering your items. And then this smart match is really great because it, let's say you have entered website, but then someone missed E in the website spelling. Even then, the bot can recognize spelling mistakes or similar words or matching words, right? So it understands that synonyms, or it understands any mismatches that have been entered. So that's really great about like the AI that has been built into the virtual agent. So going back to the topics, and so here is where I actually forgot to show the topics. So topics is what I was telling about. Like there are many topics that you can create, and one of the topic I've created here is things to do. But you can see that there are other topics as well, and some of them are custom topics. So like so some of them are system topics, like confirmed success, confirmed failure, goodbye, thank you, escalations and greetings. These are always on, as you can see, and this cannot be deleted. But all the other topics um, are custom topics, which you can obviously change them, delete them, switch it on, switch it off, do whatever you want. And the way you want to go to the authoring canvas, it's called authoring canvas, where you can actually design your bot, is by using this particular button, which says go to authoring canvas. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the entire bot because my focus is how should we add this bot on a website. But it's pretty straightforward. Like you can do some, if you're asking for multi-choice options, you have the option of creating a conditions, and then you can just call an action even. So you can call a Power Automate action, which does the backend job for you. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm actually taking the input as the city that was selected by the user, and then getting some information from like it's providing me a markdown file. So I'm going to show you how that looks like. So this particular Power Automate flow is, as I said, it's taking the city as an input, right? And so here you can see that city is being provided as an input. And then what it does is based on what the city was, like if it was New York, or if it was Paris, or if it was London, it goes and sets the variable that I've initialized here, which is called markdown. And then if it's New York, then it just creates a markdown file for New York, where it provides top 3 attractions for New York. Similar thing it does for Paris. It provides top 3 attractions for Paris and top 3 attractions for London. And then it just returns that value back to the Power Virtual Agent. And once it returns the value back, you can see in Power Virtual Agent, it gets this Power Automate output gives a value to Markdown. And this is the variable that it provides back. And then I can just show that variable as is as a message, right? So similar things are happening on all the 3, so New York, Paris, London, but I think so New York has few other conditions in them, like it's asking for a few questions, few additional questions, but Paris and London is just straightforward, showing the top 3 attractions and then just escaping to the end. So that's what my flow does. So let's go and look at what we're going to build here. Okay, so here is my website. Now, as you can see, well, let me go back to the bot. So in the bot, when you go to manage, you can go to channels. And this is where you would be actually connecting to various channels. And you can see that there's a custom website channel available to you. When you go to the custom website channel, it would provide you an HTML. You can just, and so you can, if you see closely, it actually gives you an iframe code. So this iframe code, you can just copy the iframe code and then just add it on your website. Once you do that, your website would look something similar to this. So this is where I've embedded my iframe. And then you can adjust the iframe location however you want. But you don't get the ability to change the color or change the font. So if I say hi, you don't have the ability to change any of this, right? And you see that it also shows tab over here. Now, this does not the UI that I've built for my website. It really looks out of place. And to ensure that it doesn't look out of place, and most of the time you would see that it's not right over here. It's somewhere on the bottom of the screen where you click a button, it just pops up. You click a button, hides down. So that's what I've done on my website is I've created a button over here, and then there's another chatbot that I've embedded. And if you click on this button, that's when the chatbot shows up. And if you say hi, it would respond, and then you can see that I've modified this with like you, and then this is the name of the bot, which is tab. And here we have used icons. I can certainly use icons, but I prefer to use names. So I just wanted to show the kind of customizations that you can do by not using the iframe, but rather using the HTML code to embed, JavaScript code to embed in your HTML. And I'm going to show that in a minute as well. But this is what we're going to build today. So you can interact with the bot, and as you can see, it's so it has this transparency as well. Which, yeah, so see, you can see it has transparency. It has a lot of effects. If I say and it gives me this, I select Paris. You can see that it also shows images nicely, and then the font is actually the font that I've used on the on the screen. But in here, if I do the same thing, let's select Paris again. And as you can see, the font, even for the markdown, does not match the font that I have used here. You can see that this is bold and it little different, the font. But in here, the font does not look out of place as well. So it just um, inherits all the styling elements from your HTML when this particular piece of bot gets embedded on the website. Okay, so let's go and check out uh, what we have. So in the HTML, or you can even do it through JavaScript. You can just put this scripting in another JavaScript file and then invoke it on the HTML. Your preference, just to keep things simple, I have added it in the same inline scripting. So what we did here is, this is very essential. You have to include this as a script source. And what it does is it goes and calls the bot um, from the bot framework. But the two essential thing that you would need is to call this bot, or to embed this bot, is you would need the ID of the bot. Okay. And to get the ID of the bot, you have to go back to your bot, and this is the ID that you would get. So in the custom website, after the static URL that you would always see in uh, any of the Power Virtual agent you're creating, it would have HTTPS powerva.microsoft.com, web chat bots, and then anything that looks like a grid is your bot ID. You just copy this bot ID and then paste it in this particular code over here, and that should just the entire code is pretty straightforward. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually doing a styling options here. So I'm saying, okay, hide the upload button, and then the bot avatar initials will be set to this. User initials will be set to this. Initially providing the background color. As I said, I'm providing some transparency, so it's a white background, but with the transparency of 0.85. Then I'm providing the bot ID here. And then this is the static URL that you would want to use all the time, but then it just supplies a query parameter called bot ID, and then provides the bot ID that we just retrieved. And once we have managed to create a URL, we then call the fetch statement. Now this fetch statement is actually invoking the this URL with the bot ID, and then it gives you a response, and then that response is what we use in windows.webchat. Now this window.webchat is only provided if you're including the script. If you don't include the script, you will get an error there where it would say web chat was not found or is undefined, right? It won't be able to find the web chat here. So if you have included the script over here, it would find the web chat, and then it would render the web chat for you. And as you can see, it provides a token information. So the back and forth that goes between the bot and the user has a token, conversation token. So it keeps track of that. And then at the end, I'm just getting the document, and then I'm providing where I want my web chat to be embedded. Now, I can embed it wherever I want. So here is where I've provided my div tag, where so this is a div for that button. So that button is what I've defined here. So this is the button. Then this is a div tag. So if you go back to the website, so this entire thing is a div tag, right? And then this div tag, initially I'm just hiding it, and then on the click of the button I'm showing it. So that's what that button does. But this div tag is always there. And then when I'm adding my bot, I just have to provide where exactly my bot needs to be rendered. And this is what I'm providing. This is the element ID where I want my bot to be rendered. This element ID, this web chat is the element ID, which is provided over here, right? And yeah, so then I have my button, which has the on-click open chat is the function. And in the open chat, as I said, if the window is open, then it will close. If the window is closed, then it will just open. It just toggles the display for that chat window, and chat window is nothing but a div tag, which is the main div tag over here, chat. Okay, so what I've done here is I've also created another website called live, and I don't see the button here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how easy it is. That code snippet is so easy and so uh, uh, so common, or you can just copy it, change the bot ID, and then you should be all good. So I have a code here which is similar to what we did, but I'm just gonna take the code snippet from here. So this entire code snippet, I'm just gonna copy it as is, and then I'm gonna paste it here, right? So you can actually just, so if I don't have this, and if I just do my script tags, let's just do script tag. So the rest of the thing is actually all UI stuff, managing the UI stuff, but the main stuff is in here, right? So you want your script tag, this script tag, and then you want this scripting. And then the main thing that you would want is your div tags, right? So if you have your div tags, let me just put my uh, div tag here. I'm gonna put my div tag here. Yeah, so this is my div tag here, right? And then just this, nothing else. So I have my div tag, and then I'm saying that, okay, just embed my, um, render my my bot on the web chat. And this is the web chat ID here. Let's just save this and deploy this code. While this is deploying, are there any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions, but if there are any questions, just post it in the meeting chat.
I can ask a question.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any idea on costs for using this and how the pricing model works?
Yes. Now we have to remember that Power Virtual agents are right now in preview mode, I believe, and the costing. I'm not 100% sure on the costing, but agent pricing. Let's see. Yeah, so that's what the pricing is for you. But the good thing is you can always sign up for trials. And then for me, at least for me, the trial has been expiring, but I was able to extend it multiple times without even getting in contact with any customer agent. It just gives me a button saying extend trial, and I'm just keeping on extending the trial and just.
So it sounds like it's fairly easy to test this out, but and I'm picking up on Julian's comment in the chat that I think to use this in production, that's possibly a fairly high barrier for smaller organizations. I don't know. I can see larger companies that, you know, that price is next to, well, it's not too bad, but for some people, they're going to think that's a bit expensive. I don't know what people think.
Right. Yeah. And yes, and you're right. And it has like, you can only do 200 sessions per month. And if you go above that, what's going to happen? There are some additional, like, if you want to get more sessions are nothing but like whenever a user interacts with the bot. So
right.
2000 sessions per month, right? So every user, so 2000 connect like talkings.
That's quite a lot per day. I get.
That,
Well, again, it depends on what you are. I mean,
right,
if you're a big national company, then that may well not be enough. But yeah,
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can
yeah,
see some
there
other comments are coming in about you can offset this against the salary of staff and so on. But yeah, it's something that each business is going to have to make a judgment call on. And
yeah.
I can see there's a lot of attraction to using this feature.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is fairly new, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
the idea is at least to get started with it, get acquainted with it from a developer perspective. Let's start, or from even from SME's perspective, let's just start building bots, see where we go with it, and see where it fits your business use case. And sometimes it happens that the cost savings that you're doing manually, or the cost saving that you provide for your clients, would be worth that $1,000 a month,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So you also have to think from that business perspective whether it really makes sense to spend $1,000.
Yes, yes. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So going back, let's go back to the code that we deployed. So it was deployed and refresh. Ooh, maybe it's hidden. I'm just gonna. Yeah, this ID role. I think so. I'm hiding the ID in my CSS. Chat pop-up. And I think so I'm using chat pop-up here. Yeah, I'll just rather just copy the code because I'm using a lot of CSS where I was hiding and showing and doing a lot of stuff. So I might have messed that up. Just gonna. Just deploy. Okay. There were a few more questions. Yeah, yes, Julian. So it's not my fault, but yeah, I mean, as I said, sometimes that $1,000 could mean that yes, the cost saving that you're doing or providing, either for your company or for the clients, could be worth $1,000 sometimes. So yeah, this is the different website that I had launched, and it looks similar, but it's not. Trust me. So if you go to home, see the background page is different, whereas this one has a different background. So yeah, I just pasted the code. It's a common code snippet. It's also provided in the slides. So as you can see, click on the button, and then you can just start interacting with your bot pretty easily. Now, going back to the slide. So if you click on this link, you can get directed to the code snippet that I have used, and you can fairly easily just copy this code snippet.
Danish, sorry, would you mind posting that link in the chat so people can have a go at it?
Sure.
That'd be all right.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, that was all about my presentations. I know I fairly went quickly through some of the cases, but I wanted to give a chance for the audience to ask questions. So let's go and yeah, let's just go over some questions. Yes, Tom, there is already a concession for NFPs and education, for sure. I know some of my clients have utilized that concessions. And yeah, I mean, as I said, like this particular thing is to, get started, right? To understand what PVA is really capable of. I was also able to embed this on a WordPress site. So My wife actually has a blog site that she uses, and I don't know if it's still up, but let me see. Oh, there you go. So what I did is I took my wife's, so I hijacked my wife's website, and then I tried to embed Power Virtual Agents on a WordPress site. I was just wanted to see if it is really capable enough to embedding it anywhere we want. So yeah, I was really, so it is not working right now. Maybe the bot got disabled or something, but I have a blog on this as well. I'll post the blog in a minute, but you can actually embed your Power Virtual Agent not only on your custom websites but also on a WordPress site. So the script that I have created is you can use it on any, like you can even use it on WordPress sites. So that's the beauty of it. Let me see. There we go. I'm gonna paste this in the chat as well. Yeah. So yeah. So as you can see, you can even add it on your WordPress site. You can add it on your custom website, and there are a lot of other channels. I have also embedded it in MS Teams. It's pretty straightforward. I have not used it on Facebook or Skype yet. So there's a question. What about the security of your bot? Am I allowed to use your bot on my own site? Well, that's a good question. So right now there is no security on my bot, but certainly you can add security on the security tab, and you can provide how you want your bot to communicate. Whether you want your um, bot to authenticate the users, whether there's a website channel, web channel security. So this also provides an enhanced security. So using, so if you know the GUID for my bot, you can certainly use it. But I can, if I provide this client secret IDs, then I can log down. Even if you know my bot ID, you won't be able to you won't be able to embed it. I have not provided that yet on my bot, but you can certainly do that using the web channel security. Also, if you, let's say if you want your bot to only interact with authenticated users, like let's say you're building it for an enterprise application, and it's on MS Microsoft Teams. So you want to know who the user is, then you can certainly use the authentication user, and this would, if it's if it's a SSO enabled system, then it would directly take the identify the user and then pass that user credential to you. So you would know that this is an authenticated user, so they can chat with the bot. If they're not authenticated user, then the bot would uh, give them an option to authenticate themselves and then continue the discussions. If they're not able to authenticate themselves, then they won't be able to chat with the bot. So those are some things that you can add to your bot. Well, now not all brute force attacks can be prevented. So the answer to your question would be, but as I said, the web channel security provides some level of those, like it prevents some of those brute forces. Any other questions? You can come off mute if you want to ask questions. You don't have to type necessarily. Okay, so I'm gonna leave all of you with one piece of thing. If you are a really core developer and you really want to get into bots, there's one more thing that you can also try is skills. Now, skills is something that is very like developer oriented, and think of this as if you're coming from a PowerUp's background, then what PCF offers is so skills is similar to what PCF is. Now, it's not actually a framework. So skills is developed from a bot framework, which is developed in Azure. And then you can create your bot, or you can actually create a skill in Azure and then add that skill to your bot. And then not only this bot, so let's say you have 3 or 4 bots and all of those bots are using similar kind of skills. Then you can add, you can create a skill and then add that skill on 3 different bots. So think of this as, if you're using Alexa and if you're adding apps to an Alexa, so skills is similar to those apps that you're adding to Alexa, right? So skills is something that is very, very developer oriented, and you can actually learn more. I have tried to create some, but I have always failed to create fully functional skill yet. So I'm still trying. So I'm still learning on that part. But whenever I do, I'll really post a blog on that once I'm done with that.
Danish, generally, what kind of resources have you used to learn about this area? Is it all on learnmicrosoft.com, or have you got some other areas you've looked at?
Well, I've been trying it myself.
Yeah,
to be honest,
trial and error.
Yeah, trial and errors, going and poking around, because if you go through Microsoft Learn, this is one thing that I like. It's good for learning, but then you don't necessarily find this loopholes, or you don't find this intricate details about the product. So I don't go to Microsoft Learn first. I will go there once I've researched everything around that product myself, like just clicking on buttons or going like, what does this do? What does that do? Out of curiosities. And once I'm stuck with something, then I'll go to Microsoft Learn to know more.
Very good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds like we've come to the end. Did you have anything else to add to Danish?
No, that's it. Nothing more.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up. We've gained a couple of minutes. So thank you very much for that. That's very interesting. There's a lot to think about, and clearly chatbots are definitely here to stay. They're not going to go away. I'm still not a super fan as a user, but I can see the attraction from the business side. But and of course, as the technologies evolve, they will get better and better, won't they? And maybe one day we can try the Turing test against one of them and see if people can be deceived into thinking that it's a real person. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, thank you very much. Maybe we should just give it a quick round of applause. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's still pretty early.
Sorry?
Yeah. It's still pretty early here in the morning. It's still 6:48 my time.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe you can go back to bed or get some breakfast.
Yes, definitely.
So what's next? We've got sessions at 12 o'clock in room 1, creating a plugin from scratch. In room 2, it's the Power Platform, a prayer in time, a COVID solution. And in room 3, modern CI/CD concepts for D365 enterprise projects. And also, please don't forget to do the feedback towards the end of the day. So yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Danish. Bye-bye. And I'm about to stop the recording.
Thank you.